Captain Diane Morgan stood at the viewport of the Earth diplomatic vessel Pathfinder, staring at the vast Galactic Confederation station that loomed before them. They had been waiting for docking clearance for over 6 hours now. Still nothing, Captain. Communications Officer Paul Bennett reported with a sigh. They're acknowledging our presence but claim all docking bays are currently occupied. Diane's jaw tightened. This wasn't the first time Earth vessels had been given the runaround. For 3 years since first contact, humanity had been trying to establish meaningful relations with the Galactic Confederation. And for 3 years, they'd been met with delays, excuses, and bureaucratic barriers. "Scan the station again, Mr. Harris," she ordered her science officer. Sam Harris nodded, his fingers dancing across the console. "Same as before, Captain. I count at least 12 empty docking bays. They're lying to us." Diane turned to face her bridge crew. "This ends today. We've played by their rules long enough." She pressed the communications panel. "Confederation Station Epsilon. This is Captain Morgan. We have monitored 12 vacant docking bays. We request immediate clearance or a direct explanation for the continued delay." There was a long pause before a cold, multi-tone voice responded. "Earth vessel, maintain your position. A representative will contact you shortly." 2 hours later, Diane sat across from Ambassador Zex Lore, a tall, blue-skinned being whose 6 eyes seemed to look everywhere except directly at her. "Captain Morgan, the Confederation appreciates Earth's enthusiasm for galactic affairs," the ambassador said, mandibles clicking between words. "However, full integration of new species requires careful consideration." "It's been 3 years, Ambassador," Diane countered. "In that time, we've observed the Confederation welcome 3 other species discovered after us." The ambassador's skin darkened slightly. Those species had different evolutionary profiles. "Meaning?" "Humans are considered somewhat unpredictable. Your species evolved through constant conflict, yet develop remarkable empathy. You're technologically innovative, but philosophically inconsistent. From the Confederation's perspective, you're evolutionarily immature." Diane leaned forward. "Ambassador, we've complied with every requirement, shared our scientific knowledge freely, and demonstrated peaceful intentions. What's the real reason for our exclusion?" A flicker of discomfort crossed the alien's features. "I've conveyed the official position, Captain. Now, if you'll excuse me." Back on the Pathfinder, Sam Harris called Diane to the science lab. "Captain, you need to see this," he said, pointing to his monitor. "I've been analyzing Confederation trade routes and resource surveys." The screen showed complex patterns of shipping traffic throughout the galaxy. "Notice anything strange?" Sam asked. Diane studied the display. "They're avoiding our entire sector, even though it would be more efficient to route through our system." "Exactly. And look at this." Sam switched to another screen showing mineral surveys. Every planet they've surveyed within 50 light-years of Earth has been tagged with resource priority designations. They're systematically evaluating everything around us. "They want our resources," Diane realized, "but not us." Their discussion was interrupted by an alert. "Captain to the bridge," Paul's voice called over the intercom. When Diane arrived, she found an unmarked shuttle requesting permission to dock. "Single occupant, no weapons detected," the security officer reported. "Allow it," Diane ordered. The alien who emerged from the shuttle was unlike any Confederation species they'd encountered. Tall and slender with iridescent skin that seemed to shift between solid and translucent, it moved with unsettling grace. "Captain Morgan," it spoke softly. "I am Sarvosh. I come without the knowledge of the Confederation to warn you. The story you've been told is incomplete." "What do you mean?" Diane asked. "Your exclusion isn't merely about evolutionary concerns. Several powerful factions fear humanity's potential. Others covet Earth's unique resources, but there's something bigger at play." "What?" Sarvosh glanced nervously around. "A threat approaches that the Confederation fears but won't acknowledge. They believe humans are too unpredictable to include in their defense plans. They're wrong. The galaxy may need your unpredictability soon. As Karavosh finished speaking, the Pathfinder's alarms blared. 3 Confederation warships had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel and were moving to surround them. Dr. Olivia Martinez paced back and forth in her lab beneath the Rocky Mountains. For 3 years, she had worked on this project in secret, authorized only by the highest levels of the United Earth government. Her team of 20 scientists had made breakthrough after breakthrough, but today might change everything. Status report. She asked her assistant, Ryan Cooper. Ryan looked up from his monitor, dark circles under his eyes. All simulations are green. The quantum entanglement is holding at 99.8% stability across all test points. Olivia nodded and took a deep breath. Let's do it. Activate the full network. Around the globe, hidden relay stations powered up. What they were attempting had been deemed impossible by most of the scientific community. Even the advanced species of the Galactic Confederation believed instantaneous communication across vast distances was unachievable. Yet here they were, about to prove everyone wrong. Network active, announced Kate Wilson, the systems engineer. Quantum links established to all 7 relay points. Olivia stepped to the central console, initiating transmission. She typed a simple message. The stars are not silent. Then she pressed send. The lab fell silent as they waited. 7 seconds later, the main screen lit up with responses from relay stations on the Moon, Mars, Europa, and even the distant Kuiper Belt outpost. Response time: 0.001 seconds, Ryan reported, his voice trembling with excitement. That's equipment delay, not transmission time. The message arrived instantly at all points. The room erupted in cheers. Tears streamed down Olivia's face. They had done it. Instant communication across the solar system with no delay, regardless of distance. 3 hours later, Colonel Jack Foster walked into the Situation Room at the Pentagon, where President Allison Gray waited with her Security Council. "Is it true?" the President asked. Jack nodded. "Dr. Martinez's team has confirmed it. We have achieved instantaneous quantum communication across distances of up to 7.5 billion kilometers. No signal delay whatsoever." The Defense Secretary leaned forward. "And the Confederation doesn't have this technology." "According to all intelligence gathered by our diplomatic missions, no," Jack confirmed. "Their fastest communication systems still rely on tachyon pulse technology, which has a delay of approximately 1 minute per light year." President Gray stood up and walked to the window. "So we have something they don't. Something they believe is impossible." "Yes, Madam President, and it changes everything." The room grew quiet as the implications sank in. "If we deployed this across a battle fleet," the Admiral said, breaking the silence, "our ships could coordinate attacks and defenses with no lag, against an enemy relying on tachyon communications with minute-long delays. It would be like fighting someone who can see 1 minute into your future," Jack finished. President Gray turned back to face them. "I didn't authorize this project for military applications, but I won't pretend this doesn't give us leverage in a galaxy that has decided to exclude us." She pressed a button on the table. "Get me the United Earth Council." Emergency session. 12 hours later, the 100 representatives of Earth's unified government had reached a decision after heated debate. "The vote is 73 to 27, announced the council speaker. "Earth will continue development of quantum communication technology in secret while preparing a diplomatic response to the Confederation's exclusion policies." President Gray addressed the council. "We won't rush to weaponize this advantage. But neither will we remain passive while alien powers plot against our planet. We've tried playing by their rules. Now we'll set some of our own." As the meeting concluded, an aide rushed in and handed Jack Foster an urgent message. His face darkened as he read it. "Madam President," he said, "we've lost contact with the Pathfinder. Captain Morgan's last transmission reported Confederation warships surrounding them." The President's eyes narrowed. It seems our new technology arrived just in time. Lieutenant Eric Daniels adjusted his alien disguise one last time. The genetic modifications and prosthetics made him look like a perfect copy of a Centauri trader, one of the few species that could move freely through Confederation space without much scrutiny. "How do I look?" he asked his team. "Like an ugly space octopus," replied Agent Kelly Wright, herself disguised as Eric's Centauri assistant. Her skin had been tinted the characteristic purple of their species. "Just remember to blink your eyes in sequence, not all at once." The 4-person infiltration team had been training for this mission for 6 weeks, ever since the Pathfinder incident. Captain Morgan and her crew had eventually been released after intense diplomatic pressure, but the message was clear: humanity was not welcome. "Approaching Nexus Station," said pilot Greg Wong from the cockpit of their disguised ship. "Everyone remember your cover stories." Eric nodded. "We're here to trade exotic minerals. Nothing suspicious. And we definitely aren't here to hack into their central database," added tech specialist Joe Martins with a grim smile. The team docked at Nexus Station, the largest Confederation outpost in the sector. Built inside a hollow asteroid, it served as a major hub for information and trade. If there were plans against Earth, they would be found here. Security was tight, but focused on weapons, not information gathering. The fake credentials held up to scrutiny, and soon the team was moving through the station's busy corridors. "Remember, we have 8 hours before our contact comes for extraction," Eric reminded them as they split into pairs. Eric and Kelly headed to the commerce sector, where they set up a small booth offering Earth minerals disguised as finds from an unnamed system. This gave them legitimate reason to be present while Joe and Greg carried out the more dangerous part of the mission. 3 hours in, their communications device vibrated. It was Joe. "We're in," his voice came through the secure earpiece. "You won't believe what we're finding. They've been mapping Earth's entire mineral composition for years. There's a full extraction plan ready to implement." Eric felt his stomach tighten. Any timeline. 2 Earth months from now. They're calling it Operation Harvest. Multiple species are involved. "Download everything and get to the rendezvous point," Eric ordered. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Eric looked at Kelly with alarm. "They've been made," she whispered. Eric tapped his communicator. "Joe, Greg, report." "Security found us." Greg's voice came through, breathing hard. "Joe got the data, but they're onto us. Get to the ship." Eric and Kelly abandoned their booth and moved quickly through the crowded corridors, trying not to run. Station security forces rushed past them, headed toward the information sector. They were halfway to the docking bay when a station-wide announcement came over the speakers. "Attention all security personnel. Human infiltrators detected. Repeat, human infiltrators. All ships grounded for inspection." "We need a distraction," Kelly said. Eric nodded and pulled out a small device. Plan B. He activated it, and seconds later explosions rocked the far side of the station. Harmless but loud and smoky diversions that would draw security away. They'd reached the docking bay to find Joe already there, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "Greg's holding them off at Junction 12, he gasped. "He said to go without him." Eric hesitated, torn between the mission and leaving a man behind. "We need to get this data back to Earth," Kelly reminded him. "That's what Greg would say." With a heavy heart, Eric helped prep the ship for immediate departure. As they disengaged from the dock, Confederation security ships were already moving to block escape routes. "Hang on," Eric said as he took the controls and pushed the engines to maximum. They shot through a narrow gap between 2 patrol vessels, taking fire but making it to open space. As they prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Eric saw the station behind them. Somewhere inside, Greg was fighting, or worse. "We're coming back for you," he promised quietly as they vanished into the safety of hyperspace, carrying the evidence of the Confederation's true plans for Earth. Captain Diane Morgan stood before the strange assembly on the neutral moon of Helios 9. After her release from Confederation custody, she had been given a new mission: find allies among other excluded species. "Earth thanks you for meeting with us," she said to the gathered representatives. "We all share a common problem. The Galactic Confederation has deemed us unworthy of full membership." The chamber was filled with beings unlike any humans had encountered before. To her left towered a Drell named Kraz, a silicon-based life form whose crystalline body refracted light in mesmerizing patterns. His voice rumbled like stones in a polisher when he spoke. "The Confederation called our kind too rigid in thought and form to join their community," Kraz said. "Yet we have maintained peace on our worlds for 10,000 years." On Diane's right hovered a containment sphere housing the gaseous entity, Ambassador Mist of the Vaporians. Their voice came through a translation device, oddly musical. "My people exist as conscious gas clouds. The Confederation claims we lack permanence of form and thus cannot be trusted. They fear what they do not understand." 4 other species were present, each with their own story of rejection. A hive-mind insect colony, energy beings that lived within stars, aquatic intelligences, and a race of sentient plants. All had been denied full participation in galactic affairs. "The Confederation's exclusion policies follow a pattern," Diane explained, activating a holographic display. "They only welcome species that fit their narrow definition of properly evolved intelligence. Anyone too different is kept at arm's length while they exploit our resources." She showed them the data recovered by Lieutenant Daniel's team, evidence of planned resource extraction operations targeting not just Earth, but all of their homeworlds. "This is their plan for my world," said the plant being named Rootseer, its leaf-like appendages trembling at the images of devastated forests. "And this for mine," added the aquatic delegate as images of drained oceans appeared. Kraz's crystalline form darkened with anger. "Why have you brought us this news, human? To share in despair?" Diane smiled. "No, to propose an alliance." She activated another hologram showing Earth's ships and technology. "Humans evolved through adaptation. Where many species specialize, we generalize. The Confederation sees this as a weakness, evolutionary immaturity. But it gives us flexibility they lack." She demonstrated Earth's recent technological advances, including hints of their quantum communication breakthrough without revealing its full capabilities. "Impressive," hummed the Vaporian ambassador. "But why would we align with you rather than seek our own agreements with the Confederation?" "Because together we create something the Confederation fears: diversity of thought and approach," Diane explained. "Each of your species has developed unique technologies and perspectives precisely because you evolved differently." She turned to Kraz. "The Drell have unmatched structural engineering that could revolutionize space station design. To the Vaporians, your understanding of gas dynamics could transform propulsion systems." To each species, she highlighted their unique strengths: the plant beings' biological technologies, the aquatic species' pressure-resistant materials, the energy beings' power generation, and the hive mind's networked computing. "The Confederation keeps us apart because together we could offer a different model of galactic cooperation, one based on diversity rather than conformity." The chamber fell silent as the delegates considered her words. Finally, Kraz spoke. "Your adaptability is evident in how quickly you've assessed our potential contributions. Perhaps the Confederation is right to fear humans, but for the wrong reasons. They fear your potential to unite the very species they've rejected," added Mist. Rootseer extended a branch-like limb toward Diane. "The plants of Verdant 6 will hear more of this alliance." One by one, the other delegates indicated their interest. Diane felt a surge of hope as she looked around the room. These weren't just potential allies against a common threat. They represented a new vision for galactic cooperation. "Then let us begin," she said, "not just to oppose the Confederation, but to build something better." The Alliance of Outcasts was born. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Confederation Council buzzed with the usual diplomatic chatter. Representatives from 200 species discussed trade agreements, border disputes, and cultural exchanges. None paid attention to the small blue planet that had been troubling some of their security committees, until every screen in the chamber suddenly activated at once. The faces of confused technicians appeared in corners of the room, trying to regain control of the systems, but the signal couldn't be stopped. A human woman appeared on every display. She wore a simple dark uniform, with Earth's new unified government insignia. "Greetings, delegates of the Galactic Confederation. I am President Allison Gray of Earth. We apologize for this unorthodox communication method, but conventional channels have been unreliable." The council chair, a tall avian being named Supreme Delegate Krex, rose from his seat. "What is the meaning of this? How are you broadcasting to this secure chamber?" The president smiled. "That's actually what I wish to discuss. For 3 years, humanity has attempted to engage with the Confederation through proper channels. We have been delayed, dismissed, and deceived." The screens changed to show Confederation ships scanning Earth's oceans and mining operations on uninhabited planets in the solar system. While publicly claiming we were not yet ready for membership, several of your member species have been surveying our resources and planning extraction operations without our knowledge or consent. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Some delegates looked genuinely shocked. Others avoided eye contact with their peers. The president continued, "What you are experiencing now is a demonstration of Earth's quantum communication technology. This message is being received simultaneously by every Confederation world, outpost, and vessel. There is no transmission delay because the quantum entangled particles share information instantaneously across any distance." The Supreme Delegate's plumage ruffled in agitation. "Impossible. Such technology violates known physics." "Yet here we are," President Gray replied calmly, "speaking to you in real time across thousands of light years." She gestured, and the screen showed data from Operation Harvest, the extraction plans recovered by Lieutenant Daniel's team. "We are broadcasting evidence of the planned exploitation of Earth and other excluded worlds. These files are now available to every citizen of every Confederation world." The chamber erupted in chaos. Several delegates shouted accusations at each other. Others demanded the signal be cut. A few quietly studied the data with growing concern. "We have formed an alliance with other species the Confederation has excluded," the president continued over the noise. "Together, we seek neither conflict nor revenge. We simply demand recognition and equal participation in galactic affairs." The Supreme Delegate hammered his gavel for order. "This intrusion will be considered an act of aggression. You have violated our most secure communications." "We violated nothing," President Gray corrected. "We simply used our own technology to address a galaxy that refused to hear us. We will cease transmission in 1 minute and await your response through conventional channels." Her expression turned more serious. "But know this, Earth and our allies are prepared to defend ourselves. We prefer peace and cooperation, but we will not be silently harvested." As the transmission ended, the chamber descended into heated debate. Security teams frantically checked systems, confirming the impossible. The broadcast had reached every Confederation world simultaneously. In a private chamber adjacent to the council hall, 5 of the most powerful Confederation species gathered in emergency session. "This changes everything," said the Vex representative, mandibles clicking nervously. "If the humans can communicate instantaneously across the galaxy, then they could coordinate military actions with no tactical delay," finished the Jorian military attaché. "Our advantage of numbers would be severely compromised." The Altarian elder raised a slender hand. "Perhaps it is time to reconsider our approach to Earth." Outside in the main chamber, delegates were already receiving urgent messages from their governments. 3 had already reached out privately to Earth, seeking separate agreements. The warning shot had been fired, not with weapons, but with information, and its impact was spreading across the galaxy at the speed of panic. Ambassador Lisa Chen straightened her formal Earth diplomatic uniform as she prepared to enter the Galactic Council chamber. After weeks of frantic communications following Earth's quantum broadcast, the Confederation had finally granted humanity an official hearing. "Ready, Ambassador?" asked her aide, Ben Wilson. Lisa nodded. "As ready as anyone can be to address 200 alien species who've been trying to pretend we don't exist." The massive doors swung open, revealing a vast circular chamber. Tiered seating rose in concentric rings, filled with representatives of every Confederation member species. Some resembled Earth creatures, humanoids, insectoids, reptilians, while others defied easy categorization, existing as energy patterns or floating within containment fields. Lisa walked to the central podium, aware of the weight of 7 billion human hopes riding on her words. Behind her entered the representatives of Earth's new allies, the crystalline Drell, the gaseous Vaporians, and the others who had joined the Alliance of Outcasts. Supreme Delegate Krex, still visibly uncomfortable from Earth's technological display weeks earlier, spoke first. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Lisa Chen of Earth, here to present terms for potential integration." Lisa could hear the reluctance in his voice. Good. They finally understood that Earth wouldn't be dismissed. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice clear and steady. "I come before you not to demand or threaten, but to offer a vision of what we might accomplish together." She activated a holographic display showing the combined technological achievements of Earth and its new allies. The Alliance worlds have developed unique approaches to everything from medicine to space travel precisely because we evolved differently. Our diversity is not a weakness to be excluded, but a strength to be embraced. Lisa outlined a proposal for integration that would recognize all sentient species as equals regardless of evolutionary path. The plan included fair resource-sharing agreements, cultural exchange programs, and collaborative scientific ventures. "We do not seek to disrupt the Confederation, but to enhance it," she continued. "Earth's quantum communication technology could revolutionize galactic coordination for emergency response, scientific research, and yes, even trade efficiency." A murmur ran through the chamber. Many delegates were clearly intrigued by the possibilities. Then a delegate from the militant Jorian Empire rose. "Pretty words, human. But your actions tell a different story. You violated our secure communications. You formed a separate alliance. You threatened us with your technology. These are not the actions of a peaceful species." Several delegates shouted agreement. Lisa remained calm. "We demonstrated our capabilities only after 3 years of being ignored and learning of plans to extract our resources without consent. Would any of your worlds have responded differently?" Before the Jorian could reply, an elderly delegate from the Altarian Republic stood. "I have studied Earth's history. Humans have indeed been violent and fractious, but they have also shown remarkable capacity for growth. Their unified government is barely a decade old, yet they've already ended wars that plagued them for millennia." The Altarian's words sparked a heated debate across the chamber. Some delegates argued that Earth and its allies posed a threat to the established order. Others suggested that excluding evolutionarily different species violated the Confederation's founding principles. Lisa waited until the arguments subsided before speaking again. "The question before you is simple. Will the Confederation embrace diversity and grow stronger through inclusion, or will it continue policies of exclusion that have already driven 7 species to form their own alliance?" She gestured to her allies standing with her. "We prefer cooperation, but know that Earth and the Alliance worlds will defend our sovereignty. We would rather be partners than adversaries." The council chamber erupted again. In the diplomatic gallery, representatives from 12 Confederation worlds signaled their support for Earth's position. Several military-minded species conferred urgently in corners. Supreme Delegate Krex struggled to maintain order as factions began to form openly on the council floor. The Confederation was fracturing before everyone's eyes. Lisa exchanged glances with her allies. Their plan was working. The broadcast had exposed the truth, and now the diplomatic pressure was forcing the Confederation to choose. Evolve or break apart. "The Council will recess to consider Earth's proposal," Krex finally announced, his voice strained. As Lisa exited the chamber, a senior Altarian diplomat approached her. "You've changed everything, Ambassador," he whispered. "For better or worse, the galaxy will never be the same." The signing ceremony took place on neutral ground, an ancient space station orbiting a binary star system. Once a trading post for species long extinct, it now witnessed the birth of a new galactic order. Captain Diane Morgan, now Admiral Morgan, stood beside President Gray as representatives from across the galaxy gathered in the Grand Hall. The past 3 months had transformed everything. After Ambassador Chen's address, the Galactic Confederation had split into 3 factions. The Progressive Alliance embraced Earth's vision of inclusion. The Traditional Concord rejected any change to the evolutionary hierarchy. The Neutral Assembly watched and waited. What followed was not war, but a diplomatic revolution. The Progressive Alliance, led by the Altarians, had officially dissolved their ties with the old Confederation and joined with Earth and its outcast allies. "Today marks a new beginning," announced President Gray to the assembled delegates, "the signing of the Galactic Charter of Equal Worlds." On the massive table before them lay the document, translated into 94 languages, both physical and digital, depending on each species' preferred method of recording. The Charter established a fundamentally different approach to interstellar relations. It recognized the right of all sentient species to self-determination, regardless of evolutionary path. It created fair resource-sharing protocols. Most importantly, it established that technological and cultural differences were to be respected and learned from, not used as barriers. One by one, the representatives approached to add their signatures or equivalent marks. The crystalline Drull representative pressed his hand into the document, leaving a unique mineral imprint. The Vaporian delegate released a specific gas pattern that was recorded by sensors. The Altarian elder used traditional ink made from plants native to their homeworld. Admiral Morgan watched with pride as former enemies became allies. Even more remarkable were the 6 species that had defected from the Traditional Concord in the past week, recognizing that the future lay with this new alliance. "Admiral, a word," requested Sam Harris, her former science officer who now led Earth's technology sharing initiative. They stepped away from the main ceremony. "The quantum communication network is now operational across all 37 member worlds," Sam reported. "And the Drell engineers have found a way to improve efficiency by 23% using their crystalline relays. Already collaborating." "I see," Diane smiled. "That's not all," Sam continued excitedly. "The Vaporians' understanding of gas dynamics is revolutionizing our propulsion systems. We're projecting speeds 40% faster than our best engines, and the Rootseer's biological purification systems will transform life support on long voyages." Diane nodded. "Exactly what we hoped for. Each species contributing unique perspectives." Across the room, she spotted Lisa Chen deep in conversation with delegates from worlds that still remained with the Traditional Concord. Even now, bridges were being built. The formal signing complete, President Gray raised her hands for attention. "As our final act today, we must select a representative to lead the Council of Equal Worlds for its first term." The vote had been taken in advance. There was no suspense, but Diane still felt her heart race when the president continued. "By unanimous decision, Admiral Diane Morgan of Earth has been chosen." Applause and various sounds of approval filled the chamber. Diane stepped forward, overwhelmed by the moment. 3 years ago, she had been denied even basic docking privileges. Now she would help guide a new galactic alliance. "I accept this honor with humility," she began. 3 years ago, Earth stood alone, excluded from a galaxy that saw our differences as flaws. Today, those same differences are recognized as strengths in a greater whole. She looked around at the diverse assembly, beings of gas, crystal, energy, plant matter, and countless other forms, all united in common purpose. The stars were never silent. She continued, echoing the first message sent through Earth's quantum network. "We just needed to learn how to listen to each other." As the ceremony concluded, View screens around the station showed the first joint fleet of the new alliance, ships of Earth design alongside the organic vessels of the Rootseers, the energy spheres of the Luminars, and the crystalline constructs of the Drell. Together, they formed a new constellation against the darkness of space, different, diverse, and far stronger than they could ever have been alone. I notice you're asking for Part 8, but in your initial request, you mentioned a story in 7 parts, and we've completed all 7 parts. I'd be happy to write an epilogue or bonus chapter if you'd like. Here's Part 8 as requested. 5 years had passed since the formation of the Council of Equal Worlds. What had begun as a desperate alliance of outcasts had grown into the dominant power in the galaxy. Over half of the former Confederation worlds had joined them, drawn by the rapid technological advances and economic growth that diverse cooperation had produced. Admiral Diane Morgan, now in her final month as council leader before elections, stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station. The massive space installation orbited Earth, serving as the headquarters for the council and a symbol of what different species could build together. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said a familiar voice. Diane turned to find Greg Wong approaching. Once presumed lost during the infiltration mission years ago, he had survived Confederation captivity and been returned in a prisoner exchange. His experience had left scars, but he now served as Earth's security director. "Sometimes I still can't believe it," Diane admitted, gesturing at the bustling station, where dozens of species mingled freely. "Remember when they wouldn't even let us dock?" Greg laughed. "Now they line up to join us." Below them, in the main concourse, a group of Drell engineers were demonstrating their latest crystal technology to fascinated human students. Nearby, Vaporian representatives drifted peacefully in their containment fields while discussing atmospheric science with delegates from 5 different worlds. "The traditional Concord sent another peace feeler yesterday," Greg said. "They're down to just 23 member worlds now. And getting more desperate," Diane nodded. "Their isolation is hurting them economically." A soft chime announced another visitor. Dr. Olivia Martinez entered, her quantum communication device, now miniaturized to a small pin on her lab coat. "Admiral, we've done it," she said with barely contained excitement. "The cross-species research team has achieved stable quantum transportation." Diane's eyes widened. "You mean?" "Yes, we successfully transported solid matter between planets instantaneously. It was just a simple mineral sample, but the implications are enormous." The 3 humans looked at each other, understanding the magnitude of the breakthrough. Transportation without ships, rescue operations that could reach anyone, anywhere, instantly. "Who led the research team?" Diane asked. "That's the best part," Olivia smiled. "It was truly collaborative. The mathematical framework came from the Luminars, the containment field from the Vaporians, and the stabilization technique from the Drell. No single species could have done it alone." Their conversation was interrupted as the station's lights dimmed briefly before returning to normal. "What was that?" Greg asked, immediately alert. A station officer appeared on the nearby screen. "Admiral, long-range sensors have detected an unknown energy signature approaching from beyond the galactic rim. It's unlike anything in our records." Diane felt a chill as she remembered Tarvosh's warning years ago about a threat the Confederation feared but wouldn't acknowledge. "Alert all Council worlds," she ordered. "Activate the quantum network and share all sensor data." Within minutes, scientists from 37 worlds were analyzing the phenomenon, sharing theories and calculations in real time through the quantum communication system. There was no panic, no hiding of information, just unified purpose. "Whatever it is," Olivia said quietly, "we'll face it together." Diane nodded, watching as ships from a dozen member worlds moved into position around Earth, not just human vessels, but the living ships of the Rootseers, the energy spheres of the Luminars, and the crystalline constructs of the Drell. Former enemies now stood as Earth's shield. "Send a message to all Council worlds," Diane said. "Say that humanity is grateful for the alliance we've built together, and that whatever comes from beyond the rim will find not a scattered galaxy, but a united one. As the unknown approached, Diane felt not fear but determination. The galaxy had tried to exclude humanity, only to discover that humanity's greatest gift was bringing others together. Whatever this new challenge was, they would meet it not as separate species, but as one galactic family, different, diverse, and unbreakable.